Nightcast. Stephen Lloyd Gilbreth brings you the current news from the world today and how it relates to Bible prophecy. Understanding the end-time events leading to the peaceful world tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, Stephen Lloyd Gilbreth.
Good evening, friends, and welcome to the September 23, 2014 edition of Nightcast. Friends, in our opening story tonight, France. It's reported France is to miss deficit target, and therefore France lowers its growth projections. France's budget deficit will be around 4.3% of gross domestic product in 2015, next year, missing an earlier target, Mr. Sapin said. France's budget deficit will be around 4.4% of GDP, gross domestic product, in 2014, drop to 4.3% next year, 2015, and will not go below 3% until 2017, he said. Mr. Sapin also lowered the country's growth projections for this year and next. However, France was not requesting a change in European Union rules, he said at a press conference. The country's lack of growth reflected, quote, an economic reality that affects Europe, Mr. Sapin said. Projections for growth were lowered from 0.7% to 0.4% in 2014, this year, and down from 1.7% to 1% in 2015, next year. The government will maintain its current plan for 21 billion euros, that would be the equivalent of 17 billion British pounds sterlings, somewhere around 10, 11, 12 billion United States dollars of public spending savings in 2015, while not raising taxes during that year, he added. France plans to cut public spending by 50 billion euros by 2017. The country has missed a number of budget deficit targets and has struggled with high unemployment and low growth. In August, 3 French ministers resigned amid a bitter row over economic policy. Now, what do all these numbers add up to and mean, friends? Basically, it's this. The European Union rules are that each country is to keep its ratio of budget deficit to 3% of its gross domestic product. And as you heard from the numbers I rattled off to you there from this report, France is not making target on it. And now, what's the significance of that? The report is saying they will make target by 2017. But by the way, I'm trying to find it. Mr. Sapin is I had a caption here somewhere. Let me find that photo caption. France's budget deficit will be around 4.3% of GDP in 2015, missing an earlier target, Mr. Sapin said. Mr. Sapin is their finance manager in France. And somehow I didn't get all my notes here that I needed to be able to tell you what his exact title is in front of me. But friends, I want to just introduce this subject tonight, and I'll pick up with this subject again in a future broadcast because of what this is doing to the relationship between France and Germany. Now, you look at all the current news, and Germany is still huggy, cuddling up with their European Union buddy France. But Germany has been saying some pretty rough comments regarding how France is not making budget. Germany's been commenting on how they're not happy about that, because France is the second largest economy in Europe, and Germany needs France to help Germany pull together this European Union thing, which Germany's out in the lead on. Germany, the euro came from Helmut Schmidt's last years in office, was circulated by a bookkeeping process, 1999. Then 2000, 2001, they began to print and release the currency and start circulating the euro dollars. And they had some bumpy rides because some other countries are having a problem meeting the European rule on their ratio of budget deficit to GDP. A lot of them are over the 3% mark, and that's produced a problem that required some of them to have to go into what was called austerity programs, which a lot of the citizens then hated and protested against within various different countries in Europe. But if things continue in France, where France didn't quite meet the income they were expecting, and if they don't hit this budget by 2017, then there's going to be some fallout between France and Germany eventually. So there's 27, 28 countries in that European Union at present, and 17 or 18 of them, I lost count somewhere in the past few weeks, are doing the Eurozone thing where they've converted their currency over to the euro. But I wanted to introduce this story to you tonight because, again, I'll pick up with some of the stories that are circulating on how this is causing a bit of a row between Germany and France, that France has not made its target in the European economic policy situation. And again, in August, last month, 3 French ministers resigned amid a bitter row over French economic policy. And friends, that's actually all I'm covering tonight, because I'm making plans. I had to make some plans, do some things today to get ready for the Feast of Trumpets that begins tomorrow evening, Thursday, so we won't be on the air tomorrow night. We'll be back, God willing, and the creek don't rise. Sunday night, we'll pick back up again, and then we'll carry on next week, and then we'll be breaking for Atonement, and then we'll be breaking for Feast of Tabernacles, as will many of you. However, I do have plans to be doing a live stream during the Feast of Tabernacles, but it'll be on our Sabbath service channel and covering services that are provided for some of you that watch that channel during the Feast of Tabernacles. So let me say good night for tonight. Those of you who are observing the Feast of Trumpets, I wish you a very profitable and joyful Feast of Trumpets on Thursday. Begins tomorrow night at sunset. And again, God willing, and the creek don't rise, we plan to be back again Sunday night with our next edition of Nightcast with the days, or actually Sunday night we'll have to do a longer program and cover several days' news. We'll pick up the most important things that have happened between tomorrow and Feast of Trumpets Day, Day of Trumpets, and the weekend, Sunday night. As I said, God willing, and that creek don't rise. Until next time, friends, this is your host, Stephen Lloyd Gilbreth, saying thanks for joining me. Have a good Feast of Trumpets again, and so long until next time.
You have been watching Nightcast with Stephen Lloyd Gilbreth. Nightcast can be seen Sunday through Thursday nights here on cogtv.org. Tonight's program is also available anytime on demand in the cogtv.org video archive.